This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Ben Settle, compulsively punchable.
He's the kind of guy who you'd probably just punch on the arm really hard if you ever met him.
Worshipped by feminists.
He pokes fun at feminism and women, just joking around, his whole sandwich making thing.
Mildly inspiring.
Yes, I recommend the Ben Settle Show, and anybody who isn't on it, that's their own loss.
Somewhat authentic.
Ben is a very distinct personality. There's no fluff. I can't stand fluff.
Syrupy sweet.
Tells it like it is, and sometimes may not be the most polite manner, shall we say.
Kind of useful.
So I have spent tens of thousands of dollars on coaching and masterminds, and I've learned more from Ben Settle's podcast than from any of that.
Semi-intelligent.
Ben sounds like a crazy guy at times, but he's one of the smartest individuals in marketing I've ever met.
Mostly forgettable.
He's always in the forefront of my mind.
The BenSettle.com podcast begins now.
This is Ben Settle, the BenSettle.com podcast. Jonathan, I don't know if I did a very good job of teasing everyone last week about this week's topic. I mean, last week, I still think that was a bizarre topic, pooping on sacred ground, okay? I'm trying to stay different from all these other podcasters out there. Am I doing a good job with this? Because I really don't know. I don't listen to other podcasts. But do you know anyone else who would talk about pooping on sacred ground that you know of?
I feel like that's a Ben Settle classic. What was it, like Phantom Pooping Prospects? Wasn't that one of your emails a while back?
It was. There's something about my dog pooping that just makes for marketing miracles of some kind. I don't know. But now, first I'm talking about her phantom pooping, and now I'm talking about her pooping on church grounds and her arthritis and all this. And she's just an endless source of inspiration and profit. And poop. I feed her the good stuff. I don't feed her the crappy stuff. I've only fed her like the best, highest quality food I can find locally, at least. And maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But I always thought that's a sign of a healthy dog, a healthy person too. You show me a person who doesn't have regular bowel movements, and I'll show you someone who's got health problems. Jonathan, when was your last bowel movement? Let's talk about this.
Okay, so my last bowel movement was this morning as I ran home from the Starbucks because I won't poop in public.
I think we've just taken the show to a whole new low. We're talking about bowel movements now. There's something about bowel movements. I was in just the email I sent out today. I talked about, people with their big funnels and all this. And I got a giant funnel. Look at my elaborate funnel. And, they don't even have like a freaking offer figured out
yet. Look at my
yet.
Dangling funnels.
My dangling funnel. Maybe I'll wear a coat so nobody will notice. I use that analogy. It's just like brilliant copy will not sell a turd. A brilliant funnel, if you don't have the basics in place, before you have this elaborate funnel out, if you don't really know how to write an opt-in page or emails or whatever, then you don't even really have a bowel movement to move a turd to even be sold by your brilliant copy. Now, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is getting through to people. I don't know I don't know, Jonathan. I really don't know because I don't really solicit feedback about this show. I really don't, because I really don't care what anybody thinks. I only care about what I think, because whatever success I've had or have not had, it's because of me. It's not because I've solicited feedback from people who haven't achieved what I hope to achieve. So thus I talk in terms of feces and poop and that sort of thing so that I can get down to their level, Jonathan. That's why I do it.
You're keeping it real.
I'm keeping it real, and I'm keeping it real messy.
Real grimy.
Right? Real grimy. And, I don't want to use the word assy, but we have not definitely officially taken the BenSettle.com show to a new low.
Proudly.
And I'm sure we'll probably beat that out some other time. So let's continue with something else here. Okay, so here's a true life story. True life story, Jonathan. I crap you not, so to speak, on this. All right. Back so this was when I 39th birthday. Yes, my 39th birthday, I spent out in Napa, California. I spent my 40th birthday too. And this year this is, by the way, Jonathan, I hate asking this because it just screws up the whole illusion of everything. But is this going to be aired in July, this episode? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we are into the first or second week of July now.
Okay, so I may very well be in Napa right now. as you're listening to this, because I'm going to be there for my birthday this year too. And I'll be there the day before my birthday is a Sunday. So I could very well be talking to you from Napa right now, for all you know. By the way, this is why I'm not doing the video live stream thing that Dan Meredith likes to do with his podcast. I get it. I get the wisdom of it, but I want the illusion that you and I are in the same studio having a discussion. In this case, we have like a satellite studio in Napa, California, for all people know, except for the fact that I just admitted we're not there and all that. But that's not the point. That's not the point. None of that's the point. The point is,
doesn't matter.
On my 39th birthday, I spent in Napa, California, a little wine tasting excursion, and used an Airbnb place which I don't like, by the way. I think Airbnb, I have no desire to use Airbnb. I'd rather just get a real hotel. I've learned since then. I just, I don't have time for Airbnb nonsense. And, at least with the hotel, you know what you're basically getting, especially a reputable one, and especially like a chain one, even though I'm not, I have no problem staying at Holiday Inn. I really don't. I have no problem with it because I know what I'm in for, or a Best Western or whatever. But anyway, back to whatever. There's other good ones too. Hampton's one of my favorites actually, because they have good business friendly rooms. But I was in this Airbnb place, and it was basically this lady's house. Okay. And in the upstairs bedroom was where her daughter's bedroom. I was sleeping in her daughter's bedroom. If that doesn't creep you out, I don't know what creeps out. But I'm sleeping without the daughter there, obviously. The daughter was like out at college or whatever. And you're in a girl's room when the word princess is on the door and all this. And it's like this, it's really strange. I just can't sleep in places like that, Jonathan. Don't ask me why. Okay. I just don't. I find it all very creepy. But here was the worst part. I went into the bathroom to take a shower. And, I looked around, looked for the soap. And there was a bar of soap, which is another kind of red flag. It was like a used bar of soap with a pubic hair on it.
Lovely.
a scraggly, pubic hair on it. Now, even though the place was not a bad place, it was very clean, and don't get me wrong, the house was very clean. The lady who owned it was really cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Everything was fine, really, for the most part, except for the fact there was this scraggly pubic hair on the soap. And that one thing ruined the entire experience. Like I could not, now everything looked dirty to me at that point. Everything looked like everything's suspect at that point. Like what's in this bed I'm sleeping in? More pubic hairs? I mean, I don't know.
You don't bring your own black light?
You almost have to. Of course, then you never sleep because then you really know what's going on. But this one pubic hair, it ruined the whole experience, right? The experience was already kind of weird to me, but that just screwed it all up because of a pubic hair on a bar of soap. Now, this got me to thinking about one of my email player subscribers, who I won't name because he doesn't want to be compromised in this way, but he's a very successful, put it this way, he's one of the most successful podcasters in the political world. And I'm not going to say where he leans or anything that there is. He's very, very popular. He's like a celebrity in the political world. Let's put it that way. And he's starting to get into using my system. And he was really getting good at doing affiliate promotions. He's finding these people who have who sell to internet marketers, because he's building a list of internet marketers, and he's selling their internet marketing products to them as an affiliate. And he's making a lot of money doing it, and he's having a blast doing it, and he's really good at it. But he came to me with this problem. This is late last year, early this year. He came to me with this problem. He goes, Ben, so I'm selling so-and-so's offer, and I'm not going to name whose offer it is, okay, because it doesn't matter. But he says, the offer is really good. He goes, it's a really high-quality product. People love it. It's got lots of testimonials. Everything's great about it. But then I'm not real happy with the upsell. There's some shady thing being sold on the upsell by somebody completely different. And he goes, should I still sell this good product to them, even though I know the upsell is bullcrap and full of hype and nonsense and all that? And then I told him basically the story of the pubic hair on the soap. I said, that's what you're looking at right now. You have a clean bar of soap that looks good and everything's fine and it's clean, except there's a big pubic hair on it staring at you. Do you really want to subject your customers to that? You have to ask yourself this. Now, I'm not saying he should or shouldn't. Me personally, I would say ignore the upsell. I'd say, look, I want you to buy this, but ignore the upsell. And Here's why. I don't believe in it. And I would do that, and I would make a lot of sales because I'm being completely honest with them, and because I do want what's best for them. But in his case, he's newer to this than I am. I've been doing this for a long time. My list has known me for a long time and all that. In his case, I would just not do it. I'd say I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't subject them to that ugly pubic hair. I just wouldn't do it. And this, and so I've written about this, and I've talked about this. I've written about this in my daily emails and all that. But this pubic hair on the soap doesn't just apply to affiliate offers. So, for example, clients there could be a pubic hair on your clients. That's kind of a weird visual. everyone has probably dealt with a client. If you're not everyone, but anyone who's a freelancer has probably dealt with a client which everything looked great. On paper, they look great. They have great reputation. They came well referred by your friends, and by colleagues and all that. And, they have a big name, and that could be worth a lot of sales to you later, because just doing work for that client could lead to all these other doors being opened. But then they do something flaky. Like they pull, like at the last minute, they'll say, well, look, how about I just pay you a 1/4 of your fee instead of half your fee up front? Or they'll say something like that. Or, we're not going to pay you up front at all. Or, they'll play some game with the pricing. Or at the last minute, they'll say, can you give me a price break? That alone is a red flag. Those are pubic hairs on the soap, those types of things. When you've already made the deal and suddenly they're like trying to backtrack and trying to like get something out of you and manipulate you. And they know that, because you're an excited freelancer, you probably need them more than they need you, which is a big mistake on your part. You should never be that. That's another mistake though. People should not be building their businesses where you're relying on one client. I mean, try to get out of that situation if you're in it as fast as possible. But that's a pubic hair on the bar of soap, Jonathan. Now, I know you've dealt with people like this. I know you have. You've probably dealt with podcasters like this, have you not? Where they were like the perfect podcast factory client, but there was just something wrong. Like there's something that you just noticed that you're like, no, this isn't going to work. And you just knew it wasn't going to work, but you went and bathed with the pubic haired soap anyway and wished you hadn't. True or false?
I'm better about that now, but I've actually turned away some pubic hairs that people would know because I get that little feeling and it's like, I don't need you. And I think that there's a problem. I will turn the other way because I don't want to get into that weird situation where I'm washing my face and there's a pube on my tongue.
I love the visual on that. And I love the fact that I do. I love that visual. That was awesome. Okay, so I'll give you a real life example. When I first got into this copywriting stuff and I was doing client work, real early on, I had this offer I was putting out there because it worked when I did with Michael Senoff. It worked great, where I would just write the ad and they would mail their list and we'd split the sales 50-50. And I made this offer by direct mail to certain direct response companies, or companies that use direct response, not necessarily direct response, but they use direct response. One of which was this company that does, they teach asset protection and that sort of thing. Corporations, asset protection, very well known. The owner has a very well-known book out there in this. I'm not going to name him or anything because I have nothing against him. And I don't want it to besmirch his name or reputation. I think he's a good guy. And he gave me a call out of the blue. And he said, Ben, I got your letter. He goes, this is awesome. I'm an old direct response guy myself. I love this. Let's do this. My company's having a seminar on asset protection and talked about all the like superstar people that were going to be speaking. Let's do this. And I was like, yes, this sounds perfect, right? Like this is my kind of stuff. And a few days later, I get a phone call from a chick over there, and she's like, well, so-and-so, the guy, he retired, and his daughter is now in charge of the company, and you'll be dealing with her now. And that right there is a red flag. And it's not necessarily a pubic hair, but it's definitely a red flag. Like, this guy I thought I was going to work with him. Like, he understands direct response. I don't know anything about his daughter. Talking to his daughter and her team of people, because they had to do the conference call thing where everybody got to be on the call. It was very obvious that there was something, she knew nothing about anything. She thought she was one of these arrogant and ignorant clients. So in other words, like Bob Bly teaches, I can deal with a client who's ignorant. I can deal with a client who's arrogant. I cannot deal with one who's both. Because an ignorant client, they'll just let you do what you got to do. They'll just get out of your way. They don't know. They know they don't know. And that's why they hired you. An arrogant client, well, they still know what they're talking about, and you'll probably learn something from them. They're just arrogant, but they know what they're talking about. You'll learn stuff. It's still a good situation. But if they're both, they really don't know, but they think they know, that's what you're dealing with. And that's what I was dealing with. And even though it was like a perfect offer, like really big business, big company whose products I had bought, I was very familiar with I was really into the whole asset protection thing at the time. It just, it would have opened lots of doors. It would have been a very interesting experience. There was that pubic hair that the person I was dealing with didn't know what she was doing and was arrogant and ignorant. And it turned out I wasted time writing their ad and all that. And, they didn't even bother running it and all this. And they had all these, they didn't tell me anything about the seminar. And they're like, well, we need new stuff. There's nothing new. I'm like, well, you guys didn't tell me what's going to be taught in the seminar. It's like one of those things. And, the biggest red flag, the biggest pubic hair on the soap was when, well, I'm on the sales letter committee. That's what her assistant said. And I was like, oh God. And like, this is back when I was still somewhat new at all this. And even then I knew. A committee. Oh, that's going to help get a sales. Yeah. So But that was a pubic hair, and that's what I'm talking about. So even clients can be a pubic hair, and not just affiliate marketing. Business partners can be a pubic hair on the soap. I'm sure everyone listening to this who's done any joint ventures to any degree has dealt with really bad joint venture partners where they seemed like they were great and everything, but they turned out to be lazy or they didn't do their part of the deal. Or like what happened to one friend of mine, he did all the work and the other guy kept the list and just ran with, kept it. And my friend never got to use it. And, and he knew, in that case, he knew there's a pubic hair on the soap that he ignored. And this happens with other things too. It happens with people that you date or marry, for the example. For a little late if you get married, but you could be dating someone who's perfect on paper. Everything's perfect, but they do that one thing that there's some low-class jackassery there, and it's a pubic hair. And do you really want to bathe with a soap with pubic hair on it? You don't know where that pubic hair's been. You don't know who that pubic hair is even from or what's on that pubic hair, especially when you're talking about dating and stuff. So anyway, pubic hair on the soap. I hope that this has enlightened people, even with all the pubic hair and poop talk and all that. Next week, Jonathan, we're going to, I'm going to talk more about the dating stuff and some resources for guys. Now, for some reason, when I talk about this stuff in like my villains book and stuff, which is mostly for guys, I mean, I wrote that for guys. It's not for girls, but girls tend to be half the customers of these things. So I know there's the girls that listen to this show. They got to be careful taking advice like this because it could make them less attractive when they I just give that warning now. But that's what I'm going to give advice to a guy who asked for it. We'll go over his question and then I'll talk about some resources for guys who are having these problems and who don't want to have these problems anymore. And so it'll be. So I'll see you all next week.
All right. Looking forward to it. So another bensettle.com podcast is in the can. Thanks for tuning in and we'll be back next time.
You've been listening to the bensettle.com podcast. To get your hands on a free issue of Ben Settle's prestigious $97 per month email player's newsletter, simply go to www.bensettle.com.
This is the podcastfactory.com.